after Sean Strickland's highly public push, openly seeking a fight against Khamzat Chimaev. What do you suppose Khamzat did? He kept out of a huge internet dispute. Instead, rather quietly, almost at once, training footage emerged, showing him intensely grinding, pushing himself hard. This naturally fed growing talk and whispers of a White House card, signifying a big, important occasion. Little talking or much verbal sparring came from Khamzat's end. He just entered camp, preparing as though this major matchup isn't just possible, but already confirmed and fixed. That's the kind of silent dedication that tells everything.
I mean, he works his ass off. The guy can fight. He's a world champion, you know, but just because you can fight and just because, like, it doesn't really mean, like, doesn't make you like a man, you know? And there's these moments when, like, you see kind of like past, hey, I can fight, he works his ass off, like Costa. It just, I don't know.
The single manner Khamzat plans to reply to Sean's endless taunts and callouts, like calling him feeble. Absolutely not. Khamzat responded with a direct challenge. He advised Strickland just to wait patiently and desist until his complex visa troubles get sorted. Then they will genuinely converse, yet non-verbally, using their fists, within the cage, just how it ought to be for two premier competitors.
That extreme couture with Sean Strickland, he's been saying some stuff in interviews about, he just didn't like your approach. Just why do you think he's saying that, and do you have a response?
I don't know. When I was there, they even never said anything, you know. When I leave the Vegas and when they stop my visa, they start to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on. If it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here whenever you want.
He even disclosed spending a whole day thoughtfully mulling it over, ensuring he wouldn't inadvertently lean towards anyone's personal agendas or reasons. Sonnen also discussed the interesting reactions from other fighters when Khamzat is near, stating Khamzat possesses this undeniable, almost palpable, or he also cited intriguing prior comments Sean Strickland himself made about their gym session. Sean had notoriously declared he always looked for the strongest opponents in the gym, constantly pushing for the toughest exchanges, seeing Khamzat as someone favoring easy rounds. This represents an explicit challenge to Khamzat's assumed fortitude, coming from a
Chimaev must fight Sean Strickland next. Guys, there's no debate. And I had 24 hours to think about this. Because here's what I don't want to do. I got to tell you, as an authority figure in this sport, I don't want to pan him on off. I don't want to do that. I respect him. I respect what he's done. I respect his patience. But Sean Strickland fought him in head-to-head competition. Now, a couple of things came out. I am behind the scenes, and I can tell you, guys tiptoe around Chimaev. Guys are scared of Chimaev. He has a presence. Sean Strickland said, man, I used to be in the gym with this guy. He's a punk. Ask the people that were there. Sean Strickland said, when I come into a gym, I go find the biggest, baddest dude, and that's who I spar with. When Chimaev comes in the gym, he finds the easiest opponent, takes him in the corner, and beats the hell out.
However, JL Sonnen wasn't through speaking. He also addressed the wider context, the serious outcomes tied to this specific contest. JL stressed, when you observe a fighter's climb, one who has put in the work, diminishing that specific competitor, what you are actually accomplishing is inadvertently devaluing all adversaries they defeated, each obstacle they had to overcome to reach that point. He referred to the powerful example of long victory streaks inside the UFC, demonstrating exactly how incredibly difficult and rare it stays in this tough sport to gather such numerous wins consecutively. His argument was unequivocally clear and impactful. When a sportsman participates in a main event fight, risks something truly significant, and emerges as the victor, that accomplishment absolutely must represent something tangible. In this specific situation, Sean Strickland prevailed in his previous matchup. He jeopardized all, and because of that undeniable...
You're disrespecting everything that Fluffy Hernandez did. Fluffy Hernandez beat 9 men in a row. If Fluffy Hernandez beat Sean Strickland, that would be 10 in a row. 10 is the biggest number in the history of the UFC that anybody's had to do to get a title shot, and that distinction belongs to Merab. But to remind you, Merab was offered a title fight after 7. So the point that I'm making, if Fluffy Hernandez would have won and he would have gotten a title, we're being very disrespectful to the 9 men that Fluffy beat. We're being very disrespectful to the opportunity that Fluffy should have had. And when you play this game, it's the ultimate poker hand. You're all in. Whatever you got is on the line. You got a belt, it's on the line. It doesn't matter if you're undefeated and this guy's lost 5 fights. It doesn't matter if you're ranked number 1 and he's ranked number 8. When you get in there, it's all on the line, winner take all. Sean Strickland took it. Sean Strickland must be given an opportunity.
As for opinions, Michael Bisping, always outspoken, also shared strong views on the prospective Sean versus Khamzat fight, and I assure you, he's absolutely for it. Bisping disclosed he'd recently had a chat with Khamzat, and here is the bombshell. Khamzat, it appears, is presently weighing an enormous 240 pounds. Bisping accurately stressed exactly what a huge difference that makes for a man who mainly competes in the 1/8. Such a huge weight is not simply tough, it's a colossal, punishing ordeal which severely drains the body. Isn't out of shape. In fact, he's currently training in California. Appears strong, however, as no specific title fight is planned for Khamzat currently. He remains the champion without an obvious next challenger. Bisping strongly insists that the top priority must already holds, rather than potentially moving to a different weight class and causing more disruption in the middleweight division.
Now, I do want to say, I was with Khamzat last week on the Jackson podcast, and Khamzat Chimaev told me that he is 240 pounds, right? What do you weigh right now, Khamzat? What do you weigh? Come on!
You can keep it a secret if you want.
That is gigantic. That is a good weight for a heavyweight, let alone a middleweight that fights at 185 pounds, 84 kilos. That will be a 55-pound weight cut that he has to go through. And by the way, he didn't look fat. He looked to be in really good shape, and he's down there in Newport Beach, California, training, running on the beach every single day. The man is working out hard, but there's no talks of a title fight. In fact, I asked him, who will you be fighting? And he said, brother, I don't know.
The discussion then delved into the complex situation for Sean among the division's other top contenders, specifically highlighting a dangerous talent like Nasruddin Amavav. He acknowledged that Amavav is a genuinely perilous and extremely quick foe, posing a true hazard to all in that weight class. But he swiftly highlighted the crucial point that Sean Strickland had formerly met and overcome Amavav. This caused Bisping to ask a direct question: who truly holds the superior claim? He observed that although Sean now enjoys an impressive one-fight winning streak, a major achievement, he's also a former champion, adding considerable weight to his professional history. Ultimately, Bisping consistently reverted to his central argument, an ever-present theme throughout his analysis. Khamzat absolutely must face one of the world's elite middleweights, and it's apparent the Strickland fight is precisely what fans demand, particularly due to their undeniable escalating.
Certainly is some words, and Sean Strickland has beaten him before, beaten via decision. The reality is, who deserves it more? I don't know. Sean's only on a one-fight win streak, but he is a former champion. Imavov hasn't done that, right? The reality is, Chimaev has got to fight one of them. I know he's talking about going up to 205, or he's thinking about going up to 205, and making 185 from 240 pounds will be very hard, okay? But I would love to see him in there with Strickland, certainly when he says that he choked him out multiple times, and his lightweight training partner choked him out a bunch of times. And then you've got Strickland calling him a Chechen, and all this type of stuff, right? Talking a lot of shit, talking a lot of smack, not afraid to poke the bear, shall we say, right? That fight's got to happen. I want to see it. You want to see it. The whole world would love to see it, right? So I think he's got to stay at 185 pounds.
Robert Whittaker, another absolute icon within the middleweight ranks, when asked if Sean Strickland ought to be Zot's next opponent, he surprisingly didn't entirely dismiss the concept, stated by a former caliber. That's a significant endorsement. It seems Sean currently has a strong argument for a major bout, particularly after his impressive alleged win over Amavav, and precisely how he finished Fluffy in his latest contest. These performances represent the kind of showings that draw attention and demand respect. However, Whittaker also grasps the harsh reality that the UFC's title landscape is often exceptionally uncertain, almost a lottery. and isn't reliably or even usually decided solely on objective worth. Nonetheless, despite that caveat, considering only Sean's recent showings and his fighting style, Whittaker feels Sean has undeniably
now, but is he the contender, do you think, next for the title in your mind that could potentially have the most challenge to Khamzat out of the possible contenders right now?
Oh, it's hard to say. Like, I definitely think he has an argument now, especially because he's beaten Imavov and because of the way he put away Fluffy. But honestly, it's anybody's guess. You know, it's anybody's guess. The title fights and like contenders and that whole conversation is just so, random.
Their discussion naturally shifted to the exact mechanics of a potential bout between them. That is, the exact way the match would genuinely unfold. Robert Whittaker steadfastly held to his viewpoint. He conceded that Sean's defense against takedowns is genuinely potent, indeed potent, an impressive skill for confronting the majority of rivals. Nonetheless, Whittaker declared with absolute certainty that grappling with Khamzat Chimaev presents an utterly different challenge altogether. It constitutes a singular opponent, a contest operating on a profoundly different plane of existence, and Whittaker states this based on deep personal insight. He has, in fact, faced Khamzat previously, having been inside the Octagon with him. Therefore, he genuinely comprehends precisely what it's like. He even openly discussed how Khamzat depleted his opponent's energy, a vivid and unsettling description of Khamzat's utter dominance, and clearly affirmed that—
I mean, I know you've been in there with Khamzat, man, and Sean Strickland's taking defense is pretty good, but we haven't seen him in there against, like, would you say Fluffy and Khamzat, it's two different levels when it comes to the grappling, would you say, like in terms of the way, the strength, and yeah.
Absolutely night and day. Like, having been in there with Chimaev and seen, and everyone who saw what he did to Drickus, like, it's not the same. It is not the same.
James Lynch, a well-regarded figure in the MMA world, has been contending from the very beginning that the forthcoming crucial middleweight bout must without question be Khamzat against Sean Strickland. He specifically cited Sean's absolutely dominant knockout victory against Anthony Hernandez, declaring that performance as a definitive turning point. Regarding the current division, Lynch observed Sean effectively ceased an 8-fight losing streak, an impressive comeback, accomplishing this remarkable feat in a vital main event, significantly boosting his position. Moreover, and this detail is crucial, Khamzat currently has no fights whatsoever scheduled, putting his championship standing tentatively on hold. Lynch posits it's beyond doubt evident that Sean made a move. Lynch posits it's beyond doubt evident that Sean
Strickland should be the next middleweight title shot in the division, and I'm going to tell you why in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Sean Strickland getting a huge win last weekend at UFC Houston in the main event, taking out Anthony Fluffy Hernandez by knockout. It was a picture-perfect performance here from Strickland, getting the third-round finish, stopping Hernandez and his 8-fight win streak, and solidified himself as a contender in the weight class. And right now, at the time we're talking, there is not a fight booked yet for Khamzat Chimaev. There's been a couple rumors out there, but you heard Strickland after his fight with Fluffy Hernandez. We'll play a little snippet of it here. He talks about what he wants next when Michael Bisping asks him, and Strickland doesn't hesitate, talks about Chimaev. We're going to watch that clip here real quick.
Next, Sean. I don't know, man. Chimaev probably gets off the bench, dude. I like a piece of that little Chechen. But you never know with him, bro.
Yeah, so you can see there, he wants this fight. And then to go even further, Strickland at his media scrum before, of course, he was cut off, which I'm not a fan of, talks about how he made Chimaev quit in training. Now, I'm not usually a fan of fighters revealing things in the gym. I think that's bad practice, but this is only going to build up the...
Lynch then moved on to consider the intriguing idea of Khamzat potentially moving up to the 205-pound light heavyweight class, noting that Khamzat just recently won the title, yet he has not had a single opportunity to defend it. Lynch's opinion, a stance shared by numerous purists, involves considering a move to pursue victory in another weight category. He strongly advocated keeping Khamzat strictly at 185 pounds, ensuring he remains active and solidifies his. He took notice of the extensive double standards, pointing out how quickly and fiercely people frequently criticize other title holders for their idleness, and then questioned very logically why following Lynch's convincing points. Brendan Schaub, a different prominent figure, plainly declared the UFC needs to, right away, arrange the Khamzat against Sean match immediately. He quickly dismissed Amal getting a championship shot, contending Sean had already beaten him. And, significantly, Sean Strickland stays the larger name, a crucial component in the combat sport. Schaub strongly declared the UFC desperately needs stars, particularly American ones, for pay-per-view figures and hype, and this particular fight is entirely set to happen now. He confidently asserted Sean would instantly accept the battle, observing he came out of the Hernandez match almost unharmed, in prime shape, to rapidly come back. Schaub went beyond that, daringly predicting if Sean were to beat Khamzat, the UFC would suddenly possess a truly massive American. Being genuinely himself, he definitively quieted all his critics. Looking sharper and better than he is now, Khamzat holds the position of current title holder without any clear upcoming opponent in view. The storyline for this showdown is utterly completely set in stone already. Their deep hostility is palpable and without a doubt authentic. The contrast between their fighting forms is truly enthralling and fundamentally important in every aspect. Sean's relentless pressure and crisp jab facing Khamzat's dominant grappling and raw power offers a real severe test for these two exceptional contenders. From a pure sporting perspective and a smart business angle, this fight is absolutely sound right now. If any postponement occurs, the powerful excitement and definite eagerness will surely diminish. However, if you schedule it immediately next, it feels indispensable. In this thrilling, unpredictable sport, when circumstances appear this logical, one simply must not analyze it too much. Just organize the match, then allow them to enter the octagon and conclusively settle it forever. These two extraordinary fighters are unquestionably operating at their peak performance. Both deeply believe with their entire essence that they rule as the top champion worldwide. There's absolutely no reason to ruin this perfect scenario with other matches or pointless delays. Fans are genuinely longing for clarity within the middleweight division, and this specific contest offers Khamzat. Yet conversely, can Khamzat endure Sean's unyielding tempo and intensity throughout all 5 championship rounds? That, everyone, is exactly why this encounter holds such significance. Below in the comments, who you think